In this video, I'm just quickly going to go over how I would basically trace over the underdrawing that you created on top of the grid. So far you should have followed the instructions in class. You should have laid out your furniture on the floor. You should have then blocked out the furniture, walls, doors, etc. And now you can go in with some construction lines and actually add some details. So like my pillows were a little off, so I fixed my pillows. I added a couple little accessories. And now I'm just going to quickly trace on top of the drawing. So the first thing I'm going to do is place the piece of tracing paper on top of the grid. And you can see it's fairly easy to see right through the paper. If you're using a heavier paper, you're going to need a light box underneath it or place up to a window or something to see that. I just use tracing paper. I fold over the tracing paper and make a nice edge so that it stays in a pocket, and then I place a piece of tape. So you can better see what I'm doing. I will go ahead and start with just placing the walls. Remember, we moved that wall 8 feet forward. So it comes forward on your grid. So I'm just going to draw that again. And for the sake of time, I probably will just be rotating my drawing quite a bit. It's just easier for me to do that. Remember some of those things that you learn: hit, go, hit, crossing over the edge, using different line weights for punch, etc. Put in the floor. So now you see my back wall a little better. I'm going to pull out the walls just following the grid, but know that the walls do come out from the vanishing point. So if I put a vanishing point right there and I went, this also comes from the vanishing point, or you can just follow the grid. I went ahead and I placed in a door here. It's a 3 foot, or actually it's a 6 foot door, so that's probably a little too big. 2, 4, so I'm going to draw a line, 2, 4, 6, 8 tall, and I want it 4 feet over. So a nice opening, let's say into a bathroom or to another hallway or to the closet. So you can see I added a door. And then I can follow the grid lines across, and I'm not going to place the wall here because now my hall is going to go back. So you can just trace over the grid, or you could once again use your perspective. And then horizontal lines are horizontal, so if the floor goes this way in a 1-point perspective, right, perpendicular to vertical lines, it's going to do the same going down the hall. So for example, if you wanted to place hardwood floors, you can put hardwood floors going across. You can use the grid to place in these 2x2 tiles, which might be kind of nice. So that's up to you. I'm not going to do that much detail. You've seen that there is detail already in some of the finished drawings that I've provided for you. So I'm not going to do that for the demonstration, but I'll try to be as close as I can. So just how the floor goes back in the hallway, so will your ceiling. So here at the corner, horizontal lines are horizontal. So now you should be able to see that there's an opening, and now there's a space going down that hall. I'm going just to draw in quickly the suggestion of a door, maybe a sliding door. this sliding door is above the horizon line, so if your eyes were right here, you would just see a little bit of the top of that. So I'm just gonna draw that. And then just quickly, I'm just gonna draw a double line just to indicate, just subtly, some thickness. So you just have that subtle, maybe that's a shiny chrome or something light. And now I'm just gonna go in and let's put some draperies in. Or no draperies today. You've seen what they look like in my other drawings. So now you should feel the room, the 1-point perspective looking straight on at the back wall. And now I'm basically going to just trace over what I drew in my underdrawing. Instead of a shade chandelier, I put in a globe. You always have to think just subtly about the horizon line. So again, if there was a shade here, you would see just a little bit underneath, just a little small sliver of ellipse. So you would just see a little bit up into that shade, very slightly. You could probably just do a double line to make that indication. If this is the horizon point, of course, we're looking down at the nightstand, we're looking down at the bed. We would slightly see the tops of the chandelier, of the lamps, maybe not even enough to make it worth our while. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish drawing. And the quicker the better. For the nightstands, we had our general outline for the nightstand, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that in for you. And then we had our horizontal lines going across here, right? And then it went back to perspective. I'm just repeating what we did earlier. And then we went across at the bottom. So I want to show that there is an opening in my nightstand. So what I did is I created what looks to me like a nice perfect square in that left corner, that upper left-hand corner. Then I took that horizontal lines across and horizontal lines down, and then I repeated that square at the bottom and the other corners. And so that, you know, I just briefly eyed a quick equal distance around the perimeter of the front of the nightstand. So this is what it looks like when it's all finished. So you can see I made kind of an equal border around the front of the nightstand. Now that nightstand's going to have some depth, right? So now I hope what you see is you see an equal border around the nightstand, and then you can see that there's a cutout in the back and it goes back. Now, if you want to, you can put some plants on there or a shelf or some books or something. Anything that you want to do to, you know, to make that look a little more interesting. I also don't like furniture that sits directly on the ground. So I put a small vertical line at the base and then I went across horizontally. And what I'm hoping to indicate here, and I'll put a second line so what I'm hoping to do is like that now looks like it's raised up maybe on some metal or some glass or something. So it's not just a box sitting on the floor. The ottoman was built in a cube. So you can use an ellipse template, or you can do your best to draw in our ottoman. Now I have an ottoman sitting there, and now I'm just going to fill in the fun stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll just keep going if you want to continue on. So I do try to do this. I try to work large to small. So you really do want to get your main pieces in, and then the final details at the very end. And if you mess up, don't worry too much, because at the end of the semester I show you how to put your drawings in Photoshop and clean them up, erase where you need to erase, add lines where you need to add lines. So, no worries if there's a little bit of a bloop. Know that we can fix that by the end of the semester so that this can get into your portfolio. And I want to make sure that there's that same base again on my nightstand. Hit, go, hit. Hit, go, hit. Contour line. Maybe that goes over the bed. Messed up my bedding a little bit, no big deal. If you want to draw a foot on your bed, you can do that. Remember that a foot will go back a bit to perspective, so you want to show that or indicate that. If these are the same lamps, you'll want the heights to fall and be at the same height, and the base is at the same height. On the vanishing point, or using the grid, you can place your area rug. You can make that area rug shabby if you would like. You can make it, you know, really beautiful. And then when you're all done, you're going to want to border your drawing or finish your drawing. So I'm just going to follow the border. And this is if you have even a thicker pen that I'm working with. Remember, you should be using different line weights. I'm not, just because it's easier to see in presentation. But you're going to want to go through and punch out edges to make them more pronounced. You're going to want to put in your flooring. Why don't I put a couple from my vanishing point? I'm going to follow the grid. Bit of wood, making the suggestion of some wood floor. I can't see the 12-inch markers under my drawing. I don't know if it's just my eyes or if it's just, you know, it printed that softly for me, but I'm kind of eyeballing it and I can kind of see it. Right, I'm stopping where there's the rug. So I can still see my vanishing point right there. And then you can always just put a clean piece of paper to go in and finish your drawing. So you see some examples of finished drawings on our modules. And I hope you enjoyed this and that yours is looking nice, comfy bed. The last thing I'm gonna do is I would just go around and put a border on this and put in some details, maybe a little bit of shadowing if this is my light source, and I'm gonna start maybe just start thinking about light a little bit. Put some punch lines in. Make it dark in there. Maybe a little darker where it's sitting on the floor. And that's what's due. You can take it as you see several examples. You can see where students have gone and added a lot of texture. Those who are interested in adding shade, shadow, and textures. Others turn in very clean lines. I put a bit of a landing outside of the door, so that's a horizon line indicating that there might be a patio. And then just do some quick little marks to indicate a tree. Don't go overboard. If you want to add draperies. If you want to add a rod for your draperies, that would run across, that would run from the vanishing point. All right, I think it needs a couple little punches so that, and finishing up my lines. You know, this should probably be a nice punch edge for the ottoman. You can put baseboards in, you can put crown moldings in. Baseboards would go to the vanishing point. On the back wall, it would be horizontal. All right. Well, thank you for your time and good luck with your drawing.